It is Thursday, November 26, 2020. Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. This is Gospel for 5, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and we focus on the gospel because Jesus is the gospel. Happy Thanksgiving if you're tuning in today. We have a busy Thanksgiving. Well, we're having a busy Thanksgiving week. Tuesday we had relatives over and we celebrated Thanksgiving here at the house with steaks because that's what they like to do. So we're good with that. And then today we're heading to our friends in Forest Falls who live just at the foot of the mountains there, and it's just beautiful. We tried to go last year and we're snowed out, but I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful to be spending it with a friend who's also a pastor, so it's always encouraging to be able to pour out my woes to him and his wife. So we're looking forward to that. So here we are, verse 18, for if the inheritance, the promise of the Spirit, comes by the law, it no longer comes by the promise. Again, Paul said that we might receive the promised Spirit through faith, the same way Abraham did, but God gave it to Abraham. How? By a promise. We're trusting in promises, a God who promises, and we trust him, and then we see the fulfillment of those promises in our lives. So the question becomes then why? So if the covenant of Abraham came first, which was a covenant of promise, it's really a covenant of grace. When you go back and examine how God gave that covenant to Abraham, that promise, it wasn't because of anything Abraham did. It's what we call an unconditional promise. It's an unconditional covenant. The promise God made to Abraham had nothing to do with him fulfilling anything. It was a promise God made for his own purposes, that through the family line of Abraham would come the Messiah, through whom we all come to know the God of the universe through Jesus Christ. So the question becomes, if that was the covenant of grace, again, grace plus nothing is the gospel. Grace, you receive unmerited favor. You receive favor from God you don't deserve because of everything he provided for us in his Son, Jesus Christ. Everything the Father provided willingly, everything the Son gave willingly, everything the Holy Spirit applies willingly. God gave it by promise. The question then becomes, if there's a covenant of grace, why the law? If we can't be saved by the law, then why give the law? The law was added because of transgressions. The law was added because we are sinners. And we do need that guidance that God is so gracious to give. It was added because of transgressions until the offspring should come to whom the promise had been made. So there's also this idea that the law was given. Again, the law points to many things. The law is not just about, minding your P's and Q's, so to speak. The law reveals the nature and character of God, but the law points to the perfect one who would live that law out. And we could see that he lived it out. Why? Because we would have the law. So we could see the beauty of the character of Jesus Christ. So the law was added because we're sinners and we can't fulfill the law. But here comes Christ. He will fulfill the law until the offspring should come to whom the promise had been made. And it was put in place through angels by an intermediary. That's basically a reference to Moses. Now an intermediary applies more than one, but God is one. Is the law then contrary to the promises of God? And he says, certainly not. In other words, if you can't be saved by the law, then do we just trust the promises and ignore the law? Well, one argument could be made here, I believe, that the law was added because we're sinners, and it was there in place until the offspring should come. Jesus Christ, to whom the promise had been made. and it was put in place through angels. So I think one argument can be made, again, that Christ came to show us the beauty of God's character by completely obeying the law. He was completely obedient to the Father. So we'll pick up there tomorrow. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And what has God said to you today?